Your Honor, may I keep my notebook with me?
The boy is 17. He is black. He has never been inside a courtroom. Garrett Whitlock turns from the microphone.
Put it down, son.
The boy puts it down. Whitlock turns to the bench.
The defendant is a black juvenile from a neighborhood this court has seen too much of. He is here on a transferred motion for armed robbery, a robbery this office can prove he committed on camera with a weapon. We can dispense with the props. Props.
The camera shows the boy a mile away. There is no weapon. The reporter laughs at the word props. The gallery laughs with him. The boy keeps his eyes on the notebook, the only thing in the room that belongs to him. The judge does not laugh. She has just read a name in the paternity column of a sealed file. In less than 10 minutes, she is going to say it out loud. Yeah, that last line landed in my chest. Had to pause my notes for a second. I'm Kane Uncovers. And look, I dig up the cases. The system was hoping nobody would finish reading. This one? They almost got away with it. Stick with me, because the part where they thought he had no one is exactly where they made their first mistake. 6 in the morning. Cedar Springs is still gray. The radiator in apartment 3B clicks twice and goes quiet again. Ulysses Johnson, 17, pours cereal into a chipped bowl with one hand and turns a notebook page with the other. He is working through a derivation he has spent a week on. Slope, then change of variable, then a clean line at the bottom that says exactly what he wanted it to say. He smiles at the page. Nobody sees it. His mother, Sarah, sleeps on the couch in scrubs. 12 hours in the ICU. He pulls a blanket up to her shoulder and does not turn on the kitchen light. The bus to Granite Springs Central is a 15-minute ride. He reads on the way. He is the only kid on the bus reading anything. He does not notice anymore. After school, he walks the 8 blocks to the West Side Community Center. The receptionist, Mrs. Beaumont, signs him in at 5:55. The pen is the kind that catches at the start of every word. She countersigns. She always does. 3 kids are waiting at the long table in the back room. A 4th grader named Tasha with a worksheet on long division. A 6th grader named Devin with word problems. A high school freshman named Jamal, who is 1 chapter behind in linear equations and embarrassed about it. Ulysses sits without taking his coat off and asks Tasha what she ate for lunch. That is how he starts. Always. Lunch first, then math. The room gets quieter when he speaks. He is not loud, he is careful. Mr. Ulysses, Tasha says, halfway through a remainder, are you going to be a teacher when you grow up? He laughs softly. I'm going to be an engineer. Engineers are people who fix what other people broke. Devin looks up. What if it's not broken? Then they make it cheaper, Ulysses says. Or quieter, or so a kid can use it. Tasha writes the remainder, gets it right. Across town, in the supply closet of the ICU's East Wing, Sarah is on the phone. She has stepped out of her break room for 1 minute. Her voice is low and even. He's fine. He doesn't need to know yet. Don't call again unless I do. She listens. Ted, I mean it. She hangs up. She returns to the floor and does not look anyone in the eye for an hour. At the bus stop on Linden, a boy in a green hoodie reads aloud from a billboard for his friend. Whitlock, tougher, cleaner, Granite County. He says it in the campaign voice. The friend laughs. They walk on. Ulysses uses his mother's name. He has used it since he was 9. He does not talk about his father. The kids at school know there is a story there. They have learned not to ask. In the back room of the community center, the worksheets are almost done. Outside, the sky has gone from gray to a darker gray. The streetlight on the corner of West Side and Linden has not come on yet, the way it sometimes does not. A sheriff's cruiser parks across the street and stays parked. The engine ticks. No one gets out. Tasha asks if he can stay for one more problem. He says yes. He always says yes. Through the window of the community center, the cruiser does not move. The radio inside it is on low. A dispatcher reads coordinates that mean nothing to the people on the sidewalk and everything to the man in the driver's seat. He is waiting for someone. He thinks he knows who. 3 blocks east, on Linden Avenue, a pharmacy clerk picks up the phone at 6:18. Her voice is shaking. The 911 dispatcher asks her 3 questions in calm sequence. The first answer is, "I think we just got robbed." The second is, "I don't know if he had a weapon. I didn't see one." The third is, "He was young, maybe black, hood up, tall, I think. I don't know." The dispatcher logs it. The transcript will say exactly that. No weapon described. Suspect, young, possibly black, hood up, height unknown. That is the original record. It will matter later, more than anyone in that pharmacy understands right now. At 7:30, the same clerk gets a call from a man who identifies himself as a special investigator with the Granite County Attorney's Office. He asks her to come down to give a fuller statement. He says it is routine. He says the case is moving quickly because of the suspect's age. He uses the word predator once. She does not notice. By the time she signs the second statement, the description has sharpened. The young man is taller. The young man definitely had a weapon. The hood is no longer just a hood. It is a dark hood, drawn low to obscure the face. She reads it back. She is tired. She signs. That is the receipt the press will see tomorrow morning. The first one, the truthful one, is buried inside the dispatcher's call log. They will have to subpoena it. At 8:14, 2 deputies walk through the front door of the West Side Community Center. The receptionist looks up from her crossword. She has been a receptionist here for 19 years. She has never seen a deputy come through that door for anything other than a child custody handoff. The deputies are polite. They say a name. They say it again because she does not move the first time. She points down the hallway to the back room. Ulysses is mid-sentence. He is explaining slope. He has just drawn a line on grid paper, and Tasha has just understood it. The deputy says his full name, Ulysses Theodore Johnson. When he hears the middle name, the older deputy hesitates. It is a half-second, a fraction. He glances at his partner. His partner does not notice. The hesitation passes. The deputy says the rest, the charge, the right to remain silent. The cuffs come out. Tasha says, "Mr. Ulysses?" The notebook of proofs is on the table, open. The deputy does not pick it up. Ulysses stands. He does not argue. He puts his hands behind his back the way he is seen on television because he does not know any other way. The cuffs click. The notebook falls open further as he is moved past the table. A page of derivations slides to the floor. Tasha says, "Are you coming back tomorrow?" He looks at her. He looks at the page on the floor. "I'm coming back," he says. The deputies walk him through the front of the center. Mrs. Beaumont is standing at the desk with her hand on the sign-in book. The book is open to today's page. His signature is there. 555. Her counter-signature next to it. Nobody asks for the book. Nobody photographs it. Nobody takes it into evidence. She closes it carefully and slides it into the bottom drawer of her desk. She has been a receptionist for 19 years. She knows what paper means. In the parking lot of the ICU, Sarah Johnson takes the call standing next to her car. She does not cry. She sits down behind the wheel. She puts her hands on the wheel at 10 and 2. She does not start the engine for 2 full minutes. Then she drives. She drives the speed limit. She uses her turn signal. She does not run a single yellow. She has spent her whole life watching how people who look like her son are treated when they do not run yellows, and she has not yet decided whether it makes a difference. Tonight, she does not want to find out. By morning, this kid's name will be on a press release. The man writing it has never met him. 9 in the morning, day 1. The motion lands on the duty clerk's desk before the coffee is finished brewing in the office across the hall. It is a request to transfer Ulysses Theodore Johnson, age 17, from juvenile court to adult court. The clerk has worked this desk for 11 years. Transfer motions are real things. They take weeks. They require investigation, reports, multiple filings, a hearing date set far enough out that everyone has time to prepare. They are heavy with paper. This one is 14 pages. It was filed less than 15 hours after the arrest. It cites no witnesses by name. It cites the suspect's pattern of escalating behavior. And when she flips to the index, there is no record of any prior behavior at all. The kid has never been arrested before. She stamps it. She does not say anything. She has learned not to say anything. The motion is signed by Garrett Whitlock, Senior Special Prosecutor. That is the first paper receipt in the public file. The speed itself is the receipt. 4:30 in the afternoon. Whitlock stands on the courthouse steps in front of 3 local cameras and 1 regional. He does not bring a podium. He brings 2 manila folders that he does not open. He is 54. He has good hair for 54. He speaks the way people who have practiced in mirrors speak. He says the words armed robbery twice. He says the word predator 3 times, once in the opening line, once in the middle, once at the end where it lands on the cameras. He says the phrase, a pattern of escalating violence. He does not name the pattern. He does not have to. The cameras will not ask. He says, this office is committed to modernizing youth corrections through public-private partnership. That sentence will mean nothing to the people watching at 6 o'clock. It will mean everything when a reporter named Margaret Anderson watches the same clip at 11 that night and freezes the playback at exactly that line. She has been waiting 2 years for someone in that office to say that sentence on camera. She writes the timestamp down. By 6:30, Ulysses' photograph is on the local news. It is his school yearbook photo. He is wearing a button-down. He is smiling. The chyron under it says, Armed Robbery Suspect, 17. By 7, a neighbor of Sarah's has posted a thread. By 8, the comments under it have done what comments do. Words she does not want her son to read. Words she will, by tomorrow, have to read herself, because she will need to know what is being said. The school district sends a letter at 9 the next morning. Ulysses Johnson is placed on administrative suspension, pending the outcome of the proceeding. The principal, who has known the boy for 4 years, drafts a second letter she does not send. It says he is a good student and a good kid, and the district is making a mistake. She files it in her bottom drawer next to a similar letter she wrote 18 months ago about a different student. That student is currently at the Meridian facility on Greer Road. At 10, the 4th grader's mother pulls her daughter from the tutoring program. Tasha cries in the kitchen. She does not tell her mother why. Sarah's first call to the public defender's office is routed to a woman named Elena Davis. Elena is 33. She has been a public defender for 8 years. She has a caseload that should belong to 2 lawyers. She picks up on the second ring. She listens. She takes notes. She asks Sarah 3 questions. The third question is, "What is your son's middle name?" Sarah pauses. Theodore. There is a beat on the other end of the line. Elena writes the name down. She underlines it once. She does not yet know why. At her desk that afternoon, Elena reviews the file the office has received from the prosecution. It is thin. It is incomplete. The lineup form is in there, but she notices, on her second read, something about the photo array. The form indicates the array was shown to the eyewitness twice. The first viewing produced no identification. The second viewing produced a positive ID. Between the first and the second, 4 of the 6 filler photographs were swapped out for different fillers. She reads it again to be sure. She is sure. She writes a small note in the margin of her own working copy. The note says, "This is not a lineup. This is a script." She slides the file into her bag. That same afternoon, Whitlock's office issues a statement to a reporter who asks why the case is moving so quickly. The statement is 1 sentence long. The special prosecutor's office responds that the public is in danger every day a juvenile predator walks free. He has never seen the boy in person. He has not read the dispatcher's original 911 transcript. He has read his own press packet 4 times. That is the version of this case that the city goes to sleep on. The version Elena is reading is sitting on her kitchen table at 11 that night, under a single lamp, and she has not turned a page in 20 minutes. She is on the phone. She is calling someone she trusts. She is asking, "What do you know about a man named Theodore Williams?" 10 in the morning, day 2. Granite County Courthouse, courtroom 3. The arraignment is on the docket for 9:15. It does not start until 10. Judge Eleanor Brooks is reading. She has been a judge for 31 years. She reads files the way old detectives read crime scenes. She does not skim. She makes small marks in the corners of pages she returns to. By the time she sets the file down, there are 3 marks on the cover sheet. The first mark is next to the timestamp on the transfer motion, filed at 9:12 in the morning, 14 hours after the arrest. She has never seen one filed in under 48. The second mark is next to the eyewitness statement. The fillers were changed between the first viewing and the second. She knows what that means. The third mark is next to the boy's middle name, Theodore. She looks at the date of birth. She looks at the mother's name. The field for the father's name is blank, because that is how the boy has filed his paperwork since he was old enough to choose. Then she opens the second envelope on her desk. The sealed family court history, lodged in chambers under standard protocol. She is required to review it. Most judges glance and move on. She does not glance. The name in the paternity column is Theodore Williams. She knows that name. Everyone in the state knows that name. She sits still for 30 seconds. Then she picks up the phone. She does not call her clerk. She calls a number she has not dialed in 9 years and still remembers. The Attorney General of the state answers on the second ring. She says, "Mr. Attorney General, this is Eleanor Brooks. I have your son in my courtroom." There is a silence on the other end of the line that is not confusion. It is the silence of a man who has been waiting 9 years for that exact sentence. He has been charged in a matter where the prosecution has moved with what I will call unusual speed. I am calling you because the file is wrong, and I want a witness. He says, "I'm 40 minutes out." She says, "Take your time, I will be late." She hangs up. In the hallway, Sarah steps into the alcove behind the elevators. "Ted, it's our boy. The judge knows." "Yes, that judge." She listens. "I know, just be here." 45 minutes later, the state attorney general walks past 3 cameras and a security line without a word. He is not carrying a briefcase. The bailiff lets him through. He sits in the 3rd row of courtroom 3. Whitlock is at the prosecution table, reviewing a binder. He looks up at the gallery once and assumes the man in the dark coat is press. The judge enters. The court rises. The court sits. The case is called. The attorney general sits in the 3rd row. He does not look at the prosecutor. He looks at the boy. The boy does not turn around. He has not seen his father in court since he was 8. Whitlock begins his opening. He says the words armed robbery. He says the word predator. Then his press secretary leans forward and whispers something. Whitlock turns and looks at the gallery for the 2nd time. He stops mid-sentence. He does not start again. Judge Brooks lets the silence sit. Then she rules. Bail at the lowest legal threshold. No transfer to adult court. Ankle monitor. Return to the custody of his mother. Full case file delivered to defense within 72 hours. Sarah signs the bail form. Her hand does not shake. She has been ready for this morning for 9 years. The Attorney General leaves the courthouse without a word. By that night, every prosecutor in the state knows. So does Meridian Correctional. The next 2 weeks are paperwork. 3 people work 3 different angles. None of them is talking to the others yet. They will be by Thursday. Margaret Anderson, the reporter, sits in her car outside the county records building at 8 in the morning, drinking gas station coffee. She has been writing about Project Sentinel for 2 years. She has filed 4 stories. None of them has stuck. The county board says the same thing every time, in the same voice, through the same spokesperson. We are committed to public-private partnership in juvenile corrections. She has heard that sentence in her sleep. This week, for the first time, she has a reason to walk into the records building and ask for something specific. She walks in. She files a public records request for every transfer to adult court motion filed by the Granite County Attorney's Office in the last 3 years. The clerk asks if she has authorization. She points to the Freedom of Information statute on the wall behind him. He goes to get his supervisor. The supervisor lets her have the records. He does it slowly. He photocopies them in front of her. The machine is loud. He hopes she will get tired and leave. She does not get tired. She walks out with 18 motions in a manila folder. That night, on her kitchen table, she sorts them. She uses a yellow highlighter for the names of the defendants and a green one for the assigned facility. Her cat walks across the 18 folders twice, and she does not move him. 16 of the 18 target black or brown teenagers. 14 of those 16 result in placement at the Meridian Correctional Facility on Greer Road. The 2 motions that target white teenagers are dismissed within 30 days. She maps the addresses by zip code, the same 3 neighborhoods, all west of the river. She labels the folder RG in her own filing system. She has 13 folders open right now. She is the only person in the city who has noticed that they are all the same story. Across town, in the Internal Affairs Unit of the Granite County Sheriff's Office, Detective Walter Hayes pulls a file he is not supposed to pull. He is 61. He retires in 18 months. He has been quietly logging procedural anomalies in juvenile cases for 2 years, and his supervisor calls it a hobby. Hayes calls it homework. He pulls the photo array form from the Ulysses Johnson case. The form is filled out properly on its face. It shows the array was presented to the eyewitness twice. The first viewing produced a no ID. The second viewing produced a positive ID. Hayes flips to the back of the form, where the filler photo log is stapled. The fillers in the second viewing are not the same as the fillers in the first. 4 of the 6 were swapped. He photocopies the form. He photocopies the filler log. He puts both in his briefcase. He drives home. He does not tell his supervisor. In his garage, with the door pulled down, he opens a second briefcase he has kept under the workbench for 2 years. Inside it are 11 other case folders, all juvenile, all Whitlock's office, all with small procedural anomalies he has been quietly logging since the spring of his second to last year on the force. He adds the lineup form to the top of the stack. The stack is now 12. He closes the briefcase. He turns off the light. That same afternoon, Elena Davis is at the Westside Community Center. She is talking to Mrs. Beaumont, the receptionist who countersigned the sign-in book. Mrs. Beaumont opens the bottom drawer of her desk. She takes out the book. She turns to the date of the arrest. The signature is there. Ulysses Johnson, 5:55 p.m. The counter-signature is next to it. The page has not been touched. Elena photographs every angle. She has the receptionist sign a notarized statement attesting to the timing. That is one receipt. The next is the surveillance. The community center has 2 cameras, one on the front door, one in the back hallway. The footage is stored on a small black box on a shelf in the supply closet. Elena pulls the file. The timestamps line up. He arrived at 5:55. He left in cuffs at 8:14. The pharmacy report says the incident happened at 6:18 at a location 1 mile east. He could not have been there. The cell tower data, which Hayes pulls the next day through a defense subpoena Elena files, confirms it. Ulysses's phone was on Tower 312 from 5:48 to 8:09, anchored within 200 feet of the community center. That is 3 receipts in one afternoon. Elena, Hayes, and Maggie meet for the first time on a Thursday at a coffee shop 2 blocks from the courthouse. Hayes brings the lineup form. Elena brings the sign-in book photographs and the cell metadata. Maggie brings the 18 motions. They lay everything out across 2 pushed-together tables. For 30 seconds, nobody speaks. Then Elena says, There's a money piece. There has to be. Maggie nods. I have a source. Former Meridian accountant. He'll only talk by encrypted text. Hayes says, I've been waiting 11 years for this conversation. The source's name is on a single line in Maggie's notebook. He has agreed to walk her through the corporate structure of Meridian Correctional Holdings, LLC, and through a shell company called Sentinel Strategy Group. Sentinel Strategy Group is registered in a state with thin disclosure requirements. The accountant gives her the registered agent. The registered agent points to a P.O. box. The P.O. box, on a hunch, she walks through. It is in a strip mall on the edge of Granite County. The strip mall has one camera. The camera is owned by the dry cleaner next door. The dry cleaner is willing to let her see 4 months of footage if she pays the labor cost of pulling it. She pays. Among the people who pick up mail from that P.O. box, 3 times in 4 months, is a man whose name appears on Garrett Whitlock's campaign disclosure forms as a paid consultant. She has the wire transfer records by Friday afternoon. 3 transfers from a Meridian subsidiary to Sentinel Strategy Group. 3 more from Sentinel Strategy Group to a political action committee aligned with Whitlock's Tougher Cleaner campaign. Each transfer is structured. $9,800, $9,500, $9,800. Each one is just under the federal reporting threshold. The dates align with 3 of the 18 transfer motions. She labels that folder RI. By Sunday, she has filed her first major piece. Her editor, who has been pressured before, runs it on the front page of the Sunday print and at the top of the website. The headline does not name Whitlock. It does not have to. The piece names Project Sentinel. It also names Meridian Correctional Holdings, by name, with wire transfer numbers. By Sunday night, 2 things happen. The first is that a Meridian regional director, sitting in a hotel room outside Cedar Springs, places a phone call to a federal prosecutor in another district. He has been under quiet investigation for a separate matter for 6 months. He has been waiting for the right reason to talk. The second is that, in a conference room at the county attorney's office, Garrett Whitlock looks at the printed front page of the Granite Ledger on his desk for a long time. Then he picks up the phone and calls a man whose number he has been told never to call from his office line. He calls anyway. He says one sentence. We have a problem. I gotta stop here for a second. Because that last line, we have a problem. That's the sound of a man realizing the receipts already left the building. And damn, I love that phone call. Because notice what he did. He didn't call his wife. He didn't call his lawyer. He called the one guy he was specifically told never to call from the office line. Which means somewhere in his head, he already knew this thing was bigger than him. That's the moment, friends. That's where guys like Whitlock stop being predators and start being prey. Stay with me. The next part is where the system tries to swing back. And I'll be straight. It gets ugly before it gets clean. The retaliation comes in 4 pieces over 6 days. None of them is signed by Garrett Whitlock. All of them are his. Piece 1. Tuesday. A subpoena lands on the desk of Margaret Anderson's editor. It demands her source list and her notes for the Project Sentinel piece. The subpoena is signed by an assistant prosecutor. The case caption is a sealed grand jury matter. The editor calls a media rights attorney before he calls Maggie. The attorney reads the subpoena twice. Then he laughs once, without humor, and says, "This won't survive a motion to quash, but they don't care. They just want to see what you do." Maggie's editor calls her at home. She is at her kitchen table with a fresh stack of folders. She listens. She thanks him. She makes a 4th pot of coffee and goes back to work. Piece 2. Wednesday. Sarah Johnson's hospital receives an anonymous complaint. The complaint alleges that she has been taking patient medications home. It is detailed enough to require an investigation. HR places her ID on suspension pending review. She takes the call in the parking garage. She does not cry. She drives home. She makes Ulysses dinner. She does not tell him about the suspension. He notices anyway. Over the dishes, he says, "Mom." She says, "I know." He says, "I'm sorry." She turns to him. She puts the dish towel down. "Ulysses Theodore Johnson, you did not do this. You will not say sorry for this. Not in this kitchen. Not ever." He nods. He does not look at her. She does not tell him she has been ready for this for 9 years. She does not tell him she keeps a folder of every news article about his father's office in a drawer in her bedroom. She finishes the dishes. Piece 3. Thursday. Elena Davis is called into the office of the Chief Public Defender. The conversation is 6 minutes long. The official reason is performance and caseload concerns. There is no specific incident. She is given 15 minutes to gather her files. A paralegal walks her to the door with a cardboard box. She does not ask for the elevator. She takes the stairs. In the parking lot, she gives Detective Hayes her personal cell phone number written on the back of her business card. He puts it in his wallet behind his daughter's school photo. She drives home. She parks. She sits in the car for a long time. Then she opens her laptop and files her own bar association as a private attorney. By Friday morning, she has signed on as Ulysses Johnson's counsel of record, pro bono, in private practice. That detail will surprise Garrett Whitlock more than the Chief Public Defender's office on Monday. Piece 4. Friday. Detective Walter Hayes is reassigned. He arrives at his desk in the Internal Affairs Unit, and a sergeant he has known for 15 years hands him a transfer order. He is moved to property crimes. Same building, different floor. His access to the IA case management system is revoked at noon. At 11:58, 2 minutes before his access is cut, Hayes emails his complete 12-folder file to his personal Gmail account. He emails a duplicate to Elena Davis. He emails a third copy to Margaret Anderson with a note that says only, "In case I get hit by a bus." He carries one personal box down to property crimes. The new sergeant is decent. He says, "Welcome, Walt." Hayes says, "I'll do my best." That afternoon, Whitlock holds a second press conference. He stands at the same place on the same steps. He does not bring folders this time. He says, "This case has been the subject of unusual political pressure and a coordinated narrative effort. My office will continue to do its job. We will not be intimidated." He does not say the words Attorney General. He does not have to. 3 reporters ask follow-up questions. He answers 2. The third one, from the Granite Ledger, he ignores. Margaret Anderson, watching from the back of the press scrum, writes one line in her notebook. He is afraid. That night, the West Side Community Center receives 2 phone calls from major donors. Each donor threatens to withdraw funding if Ulysses Johnson is permitted to return to the tutoring program. The director of the center is a quiet woman in her 60s named Dolores Whitfield. She has run the center since before either donor was born. She tells the first donor, on the phone, that the boy will return when he is ready, and that the center will manage without the gift. The second donor she does not let finish. She hangs up. She walks to the back room. She picks up the page of derivation that has been on the floor of the tutoring corner since the night of the arrest, the one a deputy stepped over without seeing. She slides it into a manila folder. She labels it, in pencil, Ulysses J. Hold for return. In the kitchen of apartment 3B, Ulysses asks his mother one question. "What does Dad say?" She is at the sink. She turns off the water. He says he can't say anything, so he's saying nothing very loudly. He nods. He does not ask again. Neither of them is sure they are going to win. 3 nights into the second week, the ankle monitor cuts him. The plastic is cheap, and the inside seam is rough. It rubs the skin on the inside of his calf raw. He notices on a Tuesday night when he sits down on the edge of his bed, and the sock comes off, and the cotton is pink. He does not tell his mother for 3 days. Sarah cannot return to the ICU pending HR's review. She picks up overnight shifts at a clinic an hour east of Cedar Springs. She drives in the dark. She sleeps 4 hours. She makes breakfast at 6. She has not yet told Ulysses that the second mortgage payment is late. The Attorney General's office issues a formal recusal notice on Tuesday morning. The wording is careful. It does not name his son. It says only that the Attorney General has identified a personal conflict in a Granite County matter and has removed himself from any decision-making authority touching the case. To the public, Ted Williams looks like he is hiding. To his son, on the night Ulysses reads the notice on a news app in his bedroom, it looks like he is gone again. He does not say this to his mother. He says nothing at dinner. He goes to his room. He closes the door. He pulls the math notebook out from under his pillow. He looks at the page he had been working on the morning of the arrest. The derivation is still there. The line at the bottom that says exactly what he wanted it to say is still there. He closes the notebook. He slides it under the bed. In her kitchen, Margaret Anderson opens her laptop and finds a message from her editor. The third installment in the Project Sentinel series has been pulled, pending legal review. She knows what legal review means. She closes the laptop. She stares at the wall for a while. She does not move for 40 minutes. Detective Hayes drives out to the Meridian facility on Greer Road at midnight. He does not stop. He does not park. He drives past the front gate twice. Somewhere inside that building are children he has been watching get sent there for 2 years. He drives home. He cannot sleep. Elena Davis cannot get a return phone call from a single elected official she has reached out to. 3 of them are people she has worked with for years. One of them is the chair of the county bar's ethics committee. By Wednesday, 2 more of Whitlock's allies on the county board have made public statements supporting his work. They use the same phrase 3 times. Tougher, cleaner, Granite County. It is the campaign slogan repeated in official county business. She writes that down too. Sarah comes home from the clinic on Thursday morning at 7. She sits at the kitchen table without taking her coat off. She does not turn on the light. Ulysses comes out of his room. He sees her. He does not ask. He puts the kettle on. When the water is boiling, he says, quietly, "I'm sorry, I'm scared." She stands. She walks to him. She puts both hands on his shoulders. "You are allowed to be scared," she says. "You are not allowed to give up." That night, alone in his room, he pulls the notebook back out from under the bed. He turns to a fresh page. He writes 1 sentence at the top, in the small block letters he uses for theorems. Engineers are people who fix what other people broke. He underlines it. He keeps writing. Tell me, in the comments, when you got to the part where you didn't think they'd make it. I want to know. The next morning, at 11:14, Margaret Anderson's phone rings. The voice on the other end says, "I want to wear a wire." The morning of the next status hearing, the steps of the courthouse have 12 children on them. They are not holding signs. They are holding worksheets. Tasha is in front. She is 9. She has on a coat that is too big for her and a backpack that is too small. She has brought a sheet of long division because the day Ulysses got arrested, she did not finish her remainders. She wants him to check them. Behind her, Devin. Behind Devin, Jamal, who has not done his linear equations, but he has brought the chapter anyway because he wants to be counted. There are 7 other kids, ages 8 to 15. None of them is making a speech. None of them is chanting. They are standing. 3 pastors from west of the river congregations stand behind them. They do not give statements either. They stand. Margaret Anderson takes 1 photograph from across the street. She does not publish it. She slides it into her own folder, marked simply, Day 14. That morning, in the office of the Chief Public Defender, an assistant pulls a thick envelope from the interoffice mail. Inside is an affidavit, sworn and notarized, signed by 9 current public defenders for Granite County. The affidavit attests to a pattern in the prosecution decisions of Garrett Whitlock's office. Pretrial detention recommended in juvenile cases at a rate the affidavit calls statistically and racially incoherent. Transfer to adult court motions filed at 5 times the state average. The same shell company name surfacing in 3 different campaign finance disclosures. The lead signature is Elena Davis. The other 8 are still public defenders. By the end of the day, all 8 have been placed on administrative leave. By the end of the week, all 8 have refused the leave and have continued working their caseloads. The chief public defender does not return reporters' calls. Margaret Anderson notes that too. Detective Hayes is not alone. By Tuesday, he has put his 12 folders in front of a colleague from the neighboring county's IA division, a woman named Rachel Coleman. She reads them in a single afternoon. She comes back the next morning and says, "I can corroborate 11 of these from cases on my side of the county line." That makes 23. She co-signs a memo that becomes the second exhibit attached to Elena Davis's renewed motion to dismiss the charges with prejudice. Sarah's HR review concludes on Friday. The complaint is found to be unsubstantiated. She is reinstated. Her supervisor, in private, tells her, "I don't know what you've gotten into, but the unit needs you. Come back." She returns to the ICU on Saturday. 2 of the nurses she has worked beside for 6 years hug her at the start of shift. The third one brings her a coffee. That night, Maggie's editor restores the 3rd installment of her series. He runs it on a Sunday morning, with 2 new corroborated receipts attached. The headline this time names Garrett Whitlock. A 6th grader on the courthouse steps that Friday is interviewed by a TV crew. The reporter sticks a microphone in her face. She says, "He helped me with fractions. I'm helping him back." That clip runs on the 6 o'clock news. It runs again at 11. The phone rings in Margaret Anderson's kitchen at 11:30. The voice says, "I have it. I recorded it. He took the money." The Meridian Regional Director is not a hero. The narrator says so plainly. He is a man saving himself. His name is Howard Pickett. He is 48. He has been with Meridian Correctional Holdings for 9 years. 6 months ago, federal investigators in another district opened a quiet inquiry into a separate matter involving him and a county budget allocation in a state 2 over. He has been waiting for a way to trade. Margaret Anderson's source pointed her to him. He flew to Cedar Springs on his own dime. He met with a federal prosecutor on a Sunday afternoon. He agreed to wear a wire. The meeting is set for the following Wednesday at 7:42 in the evening. A booth at a hotel restaurant near the airport. Pickett arrives early. He orders coffee. He does not drink it. The wire is the size of a thumbnail and is taped to his sternum under a cotton undershirt and a button-down with the cuffs rolled. Garrett Whitlock arrives at 7:43. He sits down across from Pickett. He does not look at the menu. He says, "Tell me what we're calling this." Pickett says, "Consulting." Whitlock says, "Consulting on what?" Pickett says, "Whatever you want, Garrett." The recording captures the next 9 minutes in a clean register. The hotel restaurant is half empty. The microphone picks up the murmur of 2 other tables and the click of a coffee cup against a saucer. Mostly, it picks up Whitlock. He talks about the Johnson case once, by name. He says the words, "the Johnson kid." He asks Pickett what the placement bonus would have been. Pickett tells him. He takes the envelope. The envelope contains $9,800 in cash. The denominations are pre-photographed. The serial numbers are logged. Whitlock puts the envelope inside the inner pocket of his jacket. He pats the pocket once. He says, "You know my number." He stands. He shakes Pickett's hand. He leaves. Pickett sits in the booth for 2 more minutes. He drinks the coffee for the first time. He gets up. He walks out to the parking lot. He hands the wire to a federal agent in a sedan. The recording is 43 minutes long. The relevant section is 9 minutes. By the next morning, a sealed federal complaint is in the hands of a magistrate judge in a different district. By that afternoon, a copy of the recording, along with a transcript, is attached under seal to Elena Davis's renewed motion to dismiss the charges against Ulysses Johnson with prejudice. That is 1 receipt. The second receipt arrives that same afternoon. The eyewitness from the pharmacy, who signed the second statement 2 weeks ago, asks for a meeting with Elena. She brings her cousin. She brings a notepad with handwritten dates on it. She says, "I want to take it back." Elena offers her counsel. She accepts. The next morning, the eyewitness signs a sworn statement saying she was shown a single photograph the night before her formal lineup, and that the man who showed it to her told her, "That's our guy." She names him. He is an investigator who works out of Whitlock's office. She asks Elena one question. She says, "Will my name be in the news?" Elena says, "Yes." The eyewitness says, "I figured." She signs. Whitlock, through new counsel, issues a statement that evening. "My client denies any wrongdoing and looks forward to clearing his name in court." That is the second time on the public record that he is given his right of reply. He will not get a third. The hearing is set for Friday. By Wednesday, Whitlock has hired a second lawyer. By Thursday, so is Meridian. Friday morning, 9:30. Courtroom 3 is full. The gallery is 2 rows deeper than it has been for any motion hearing on this docket all year. The pastors are there. The 8 public defenders are there. Tasha and Devin are not there because Sarah asked them not to be, but Mrs. Beaumont is there, holding the sign-in book on her lap like a Bible. Ulysses sits at the defense table next to Elena. He is in a clean shirt. The notebook of proofs is on the table in front of him, closed. Sarah sits in the second row. The Attorney General sits in the third, where he sat before. He does not approach the bench. He does not need to. The case is called. Elena rises. She does not raise her voice. "Your Honor, defense moves to dismiss with prejudice and for sanctions against the Granite County Attorney's Office." She lays the receipts in order. She reads the cell tower coordinates aloud. She reads the timing of the community center sign-in aloud. She reads the dispatcher's original 911 transcript aloud, the one with no weapon, with the suspect's height as unknown. She reads the lineup form aloud, including the line about the swapped fillers. She reads the affidavit aloud. She names the 8 signatories. Then she presses play. The recording runs for 90 seconds in open court. The clean register of the hotel restaurant. The murmur of 2 other tables. Whitlock's voice, saying the words, "the Johnson kid." The courtroom does not move. She reads the sworn recantation aloud. She reads the eyewitness's name. She does not raise her voice for any of it. Whitlock's new counsel rises. He is younger than Whitlock. He is steadier. He says his client acted in good faith on the information available. He says the recording is the product of an entrapment-adjacent arrangement. He moves to seal it. Judge Brooks denies the motion to seal. She is not in a hurry. She rules in 5 sentences. She lets each one sit. The motion to dismiss with prejudice is granted. The court refers this matter to a special prosecutor. The court refers Mr. Whitlock to the state bar for review. The defendant is released. All conditions are vacated. This court will not be an instrument. The gavel comes down once. Sarah does not stand. She stays in her seat. She closes her eyes for 3 seconds. Ulysses stands. Elena puts a hand on his arm. He picks up the notebook. In the gallery, the Attorney General stands. He nods once, to no one in particular. Then he sits back down. He waits for his son to leave the well of the court before he leaves the row. Whitlock leaves through a side door. The cameras find him in the parking garage anyway. A reporter from the Granite Ledger asks him one question. He does not answer. Margaret Anderson is in the front row of the press box. She is not writing. She has put her notebook down. She is watching. Outside on the courthouse steps, the kids from the community center are still there. They have brought a new worksheet. In a courtroom, the words, "This court will not be an instrument," are what it sounds like when a system remembers what it is for. Listen, I know this is a story, but the bones of it are not made up. The Department of Justice has been pulling the thread on prosecutor to private prison kickback schemes for over a decade now. And the Kids for Cash scandal out of Pennsylvania put 2 judges in federal prison for taking nearly $3 million to ship juveniles into a private facility. $3 million. Real kids. Real money. So when you hear that line, "This court will not be an instrument," that's not melodrama. That's the sentence we should be hearing in real courtrooms. And most of the time, we don't. The hell of it is, the receipts are usually there. Somebody just has to pull them. On the courthouse steps, Tasha walks up to Ulysses with a worksheet folded twice in her hand. "You forgot it," he laughs. It is the first time in 3 weeks. The sound surprises him. He sits down on the bottom step. He opens the worksheet on his knee. He checks her remainders. They are right. That afternoon, the Attorney General's office issues a statement. 4 sentences. It does not name his son. It does not need to. The last line is the only one that runs in the papers. No one stands above the law. No one should be crushed beneath it. The Westside Community Center reopens its tutoring program the following Monday. There is a waiting list. A special prosecutor takes the Whitlock matter. The federal complaint against Meridian Correctional Holdings is unsealed 30 days later. Walter Hayes retires on schedule. Margaret Anderson wins a regional press award. Elena Davis takes 2 more juvenile clients pro bono in her first month. Sarah Johnson works a Tuesday night shift in the ICU, saves a man's life, and goes home and does not tell anyone. In apartment 3B, the math notebook is on the kitchen table. It is open. They thought the boy in the back of the cruiser had no one. They were wrong about every part of that sentence. If this story stayed with you, leave 1 word below. Garrett Whitlock's first hearing is on the calendar. I will be there.